And really, let's follow that story about the Prime Minister reopening the borders to international travellers. Double vaccinated tourists will be free to enter the country from February 21. That's welcome news, obviously, for our travel and tourism sector. Joining me, the Chief Executive of one of Australia's biggest group of travel agents, Flight Centre. Graham Turner is that man. He joins me now. Graham, many thanks for your time. You've been waiting months for this, let's be honest. Is it overdue, do you believe?
Ross, yeah, it is overdue. I mean, I think we've had, the students as well as, backpackers being able to come in for some time. Australians have been able to return. But anyway, it's better late than never. And, it is really good news. And it's not only good news for the travel industry, for airlines, for airports, but obviously the tourism sector has been waiting for this for a long time.
Do you think there's many in that tourism sector who have simply not made it this far, that have had to give up the ghost or have been sent broke as a result of these locked borders for such a long period?
Look, obviously there is and there will be. Hopefully, most of them have managed to hang on. It's going to take them a while to get back, particularly those focused on foreign countries, particularly UK, Europe, USA, Canada in particular. And obviously a lot of them have a fairly big New Zealand market, which is not going to be helped at this stage by the looks because people can't get back to New Zealand. But, it's good news. And I think it means that the tourism industry generally, particularly those who focus on the inbound, are going to be able to get their products back up and running. So it's good news.
And just explain some of the ways that you've had to change at Flight Centre to adjust to this. The fact that obviously there's not as much outbound tourism taking place and the inbound tourism had stopped as well. What sort of changes did you need to make at Flight Centre, Australia's largest travel company?
Look, we had 11,000 people in Australia. We're in 24 countries and about 21,000 people all around. So we've had to lose about 2/3 of our people. We're back up globally from 21,000 originally. We're back to about 10,000 people now and building back up to make sure that, we can cope with the demand as it comes back. And obviously this announcement is going to help our businesses in places like South Africa, UK, Europe, Canada and USA. So that's really good news there. I think opening up to Australians to travel internationally, which happened in November, was something that really made a big difference in Australia too. So, generally we're on the way back. I know there's going to be ups and downs, but we're pretty happy at the moment.
I was going to say, Ed just told us that the Australian dollar's under 71 US cents. So under normal circumstances, that would almost be the catalyst for many international tourists to come to Australia because it would be relatively cheap. What's your sense of the pent-up demand for tourists to come to Australia at this time?
Look, there will be pent-up demand, but we haven't made it easy for people. And it's not only Australia, but a lot of other countries have made it difficult. And if you look at Asia, which was a big inbound tourist market for Australia, it's still pretty tight. Some of the countries are allowing some travel, but it's quite hard to get back after you've been in Australia or even a place like Singapore. So we still got a fair way to go with that. But this really sends the right message to overseas countries that Australia is open for business again, and we want them to come here. And I think slowly but surely it'll build up to the mid-year. People can start making arrangements, and most people book 3 to 6 months ahead anyway. So, come 4 or 5, 6 months, the world generally is going to be much more open, and Australia is going to benefit out of that a lot.
And just on the inbound-outbound side of it, are there enough flights now to cope with the demand that might be there? I know, for example, there have been some question marks about whether there's enough flights to actually keep the fares cheap enough to allow people to be able to move as freely as they had pre the pandemic.
Yeah, it's a good point. It has been more expensive because the flights are have been very restricted for good reason. But, I know the Middle Eastern carriers like Qatar and Emirates, Singapore Airlines, United Airlines from North America, they've kept flying right through this, and they will be able to increase capacity quite quickly. Some of the other airlines haven't kept their international going, and Qantas has been like that to a certain extent, and a number of others. Cathay struggled because of the Hong Kong restrictions, but those Middle Eastern carriers, Singapore Airlines and some of the American carriers, they'll be able to ramp up capacity pretty quickly. And I think you'll see the fares becoming quite reasonable over the next month or two. So I don't think that'll be a problem. Airlines are desperate to get their capacity up, as long as they think that they can get their planes reasonably full, and good airfares, discounted airfares will be part of that for sure.